Dzień dobry, assalamu alaikum, ciao, konnichiwa, bonjour, hola, good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you today? And what have you done with the sunshine? Where's it gone? Want to see a rainbow? Stand by, I'll tell you how. How are you today? Talking about property news as always. Hope you're having a good day. Just about to release that podcast I've been promising for a while. Sorry for the delay. That's coming out today. As usual, Ken at 10, talking about property here in Southwest London, what's going on in the local market, so you can see what's happening at the coalface of estate agency, what we're selling, what we're letting, how it's going. And at the moment, massive shortage of homes for rent, particularly and specifically 1, 2 and 3 bedroom properties seem to be in very short supply locally. And we've got many good quality people looking, and it's quite frustrating. Some of them, I had a beautiful story yesterday where we got a client who has been looking to sell for a while, wanted his tenants to leave. The tenants couldn't find anywhere to go. And the tenants were quite heartbroken that they had to go, and it was quite horrible. The kids were in tears, the tenant was in tears, and they're lovely people. They've been really reliable over a number of years. Really didn't want to have them upset. Managed to find a place that's better than the one they're in, and literally, having shown them the property, well, she was literally had tears in her eyes, and it's just lovely. It's just beautiful. When everything comes together like that, it's a beautiful thing, isn't it? So how are you today? A few headlines for you on the property front. Number one, prices are up £24 every day across the UK, and the average home is now 15% of areas in the UK. The average home is now over £500,000. That works about 7 times the average salary of a 30 to 40-year-old, which, when you think about it, is quite a stretch, isn't it? And it just goes to show how the lack of supply is driving prices forward to a level that some would say is illogical. I know there's lots of talk about, will the market fall dramatically? I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen for a number of reasons. Number one, since the last recession, we have had the onslaught of buy-to-let big time. So many more people have acquired properties to rent out. And therefore, there is an underpinning nature when yields get to a certain level. Landlords say, well, hang on a minute, if I can buy that house at that price, then actually the income that produces is worth more than I can get in the bank and is a reasonable return. Therefore, I'll go for it. So buy-to-let investors definitely underpin the market, because that income, that reliable income source, and it is very reliable, and that's been proven throughout the pandemic and beyond. So from that point of view, many people want that, and the buy-to-let market will always underpin the first-time buyer market, which can sometimes fall away when confidence lacks. On top of that, more importantly, the lack of supply and the lack of new build houses coming through means that we're reliant on the second-hand stock. And I know there's some talk about repossessions going up. Turns out the level of repossessions in the UK is such a small percentage of the overall stock that that's unlikely to have a massive impact either. So what does it leave us with? Well, the highest price rises are in Wales across the whole of the United Kingdom, and they're up significantly. Who would have thought it? Of all places, you know, in the old days, we would think of London as a place where we'd see meteoric rises, and right now it's Wales. But then again, looking at the pandemic, that changed everything, didn't it? Apart from that, Rishi is considering help for all of us. Well, the last time he tried to help us, he said that he would help us with fuel bills. He gave us a loan of £300, didn't he? I mean, what's that about? How's that going to help the less fortunate? It's really not, Rishi. You need to do something far more substantial. And I hope he will, because there are lots of people out there that desperately need his help. Something else that I mentioned yesterday that I think could be really helpful is recognizing that if tenants have been regularly paying rent over a long period of time, then they're just as capable of regularly paying a mortgage payment. And I think with open banking and the transparency that brings, I'm hoping we'll see more and more lenders consider many of our lovely tenants that have been paying rent reliably for years, and where the mortgage payment is the equivalent. Why wouldn't you consider that as a low risk, the same as anyone else? So I hope many more of those people might be able to come into the fold and buy their own homes. But with deposits so far out of reach, it's a real difficult stretch for most people. A lot of people out there are worried about the market, what's going to happen. Nobody really knows. Nobody can tell you. I can tell you now, if you try and call the market, of all the years I've been doing this, and that's over 30, hence no hair, I can honestly say that I can count on one hand the amount of people that have ever called it right. And I'm not sure whether they actually called it right or just got a bit lucky. And I think the truth is a bit of both. So the secret of property, remember, is always the same thing. It's time. Don't worry about when you're buying in the cycle, whether the cycle is the right time or the wrong time, because if you think it's peaked, it will surprise you. If you think it's troughed, it will surprise you. It nearly always has the capacity to surprise and shock. So my advice is Do it when it's right for you and your family, not when you think the market has peaked or troughed. And what you'll find is that over time prices will rise, because they always do. And the way the market circumstances are at the moment, I know it's scary. I know that there are alternatives in the rental market, but to be honest with you, they're few and far between. And not only that, you don't get the security that you get from owning your own family home. So if you're not buying, you're renting, that money's going towards someone else's future. Why not put it towards your future? And if you can get on the property ladder, I still think, whilst this is not financial advice, that it's the best thing you can do, especially if you have a young family and trying to move forward. So that's it for today. A couple of valuations today, not as many as yesterday, but still lots of new instructions coming through, which I'm excited to tell you about in the coming few days. I hope you're doing well. Do look after yourselves, and if you can, your family and friends. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Ciao. Quick PS. I said if you want to see a rainbow, and the point is this, you've got to put up with the rain. Take care.